What's good, Game On Wisconsin? Great to have you back for another episode of Coast to Coast Packers. I'm Bernie Bango. You are in for a unique episode today as Amar and I are going to travel east in the NFC and talk about the teams over there. How are you doing today, Amar?
I'm great, man. Happy Monday. We got a short week ahead. We got 4th of July coming up. I'm looking to shoot off some fireworks and have a great time, man. So this is going to be a good week, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good show today, too. I can't wait to get into it with other teams for once.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And happy Canada Day as well. And happy 4th, early 4th. That's funny. Speaking of Canada Day, the first summer that I was in Bellingham, Washington, where I'm at now.
Yeah.
My wife and I on July 1st were like, let's go to Canada for the day. It was like spontaneous. Let's drive up to Vancouver and go eat some food and drink some beers. We had no idea that Canada Day, right? It's July 1st. It's like their Independence Day. We got up there and everything was it was wild, man. We thought we were just going up on like a random day. It was like their biggest celebration of the year. And I was like, oh.
Hey, but you inadvertently picked a great day to go.
Yeah. Drank some good beer and ate some delicious poutine. I remember that day.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Got to experience it too.
But I know there's a lot of Packer fans, a lot of cheeseheads up there in Canada. So we, we're coast to coast. We're international here.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
Hey, Caleb, as well.
Appreciate you, Caleb.
Great to have you here.
Solar on time. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're starting to make back time up. We were a minute late, so all right, you got me there. But yeah, man. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the NFC East here, and let's talk about how we got. I think we're going to be playing a good number of the opponents over there. I'm really looking forward to seeing. I think just one right now, right? Just the Eagles, right?
Just the Eagles, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there a certain team you want to start with?
I mean, we could start with the Eagles. I mean, we can just get off the bat and get them out of the way because we're going to be playing against them anyways. And we can kind of talk about just like, just seeing the way that they are developed. And it really does seem like they are going to be one of the stronger teams in that division. Yeah. That division has new faces in Washington, right? But Philly, their head coach is still there, but they completely redid their whole like offensive, defensive staff. I feel like they had a really great draft. More so like, when they talk about like you go name brand, right? Like if you're going to go and like shop at Tiffany's or if you're going to go shop at like K Jewelers, right? Like it seems like they went and like got all the Tiffany brand names in the draft. And I mean, great talent now, don't get me wrong, but the guys that people are well known. So then when the draft industrial complex is talking about them, like, oh yeah, they killed the draft because they got Quentin Mitchell, they got Cooper DeJean, they this and that. And truth is, like, they did get good talent, but it's the talent that everybody knows.
Yeah, and it's the Eagles division. It's technically a 2-horse race, right, between Cowboys and Eagles, but I really feel like it's the Eagles to win. They also added Barkley to that backfield. That they're going to figure it out defensively, right? Their defense last year, I think, probably fell off more than any defense throughout the season last year in the NFL, right? They started 10-1, and then they went 1-6 on the back end or something like that. Jalen Hurts took a step down as well last year, so you got to imagine he's going to be better this year. He's going to bounce back. It's the Eagles division in my mind. And do you think come week 1 in that game, are we going to see Cooper DeJean do anything for this Eagles defense where we're going to be like, oh man?
No, I mean, maybe I don't know. See, like for me, like if they had the same coaching staff that they had when they went to the Super Bowl, I would be concerned because Jonathan Gannon and what's his name? Shane Steichen, amazing coaches. Both of them got head coaching jobs elsewhere. Jonathan Gannon at first looked like aloof, and he really did turn that team around in the back half of the season. And then Shane Steichen, even having the injuries that he had on offense, losing Anthony Richardson for the year, he was still able to be literally one play away from being in the playoffs. And seeing, like you mentioned it, like Saquon Barkley, stealing him from the Giants, I think was huge. I mean, that really plays into the strengths of that team because, they've had good running backs. We're going to be playing against DeAndre Swift again in the Bears. But the truth is, like, that team is a very run-heavy, run-first team. Jalen Hurts, I feel like, is a good quarterback. And I think last year he was hampered by injuries. The high ankle sprain, the shoulder injury. He was really dealing with a lot, on top of the fact that it seems like there was some dysfunction going on when it came to the things in the inside, right? And a lot of their good players got paid. A.J. Brown got paid. Devontae Smith got paid. They were able to they made some questionable, like they went and got Bryce Huff from the Jets, paid him a shit ton of money, but they let Hassan Riddick go to the Jets, Hassan Riddick, I know, didn't have the greatest season last year, but most of those guys didn't. And like you were saying about Cooper DeJean, like them bringing in Vic Fangio, who a lot of these coaches are trying to get that deep. We're used to trying to get the defense. He fits perfectly for that defense. Like too high shell, playing off, laying the front four, front seven, kind of get pressure. He really fits that. I really want to know where they're going to play him because, in Vic Fangio's scheme, based on the way they play, he probably would play on the boundary. They do have Reed Blankenship. They safety wise, they could put him at safety as well too. I do think that Cooper DeJean will be out there, and you're right. Like if he makes one fantastic, amazing play, we're gonna be like, "Oh God, we could have had him." And I know I'm gonna be looking at his career from a distance, right?
There's Packer fans out there where DeJean could get burned like 3 times, right? But he could make he could go out on a blitz and get a strip sack or get an interception or a pick six, maybe even. And because he makes like you said, the one splash play, like all the issues around him will disappear for Packer fans to be like,
it's so true that like Sparky said it too, right? Sparky was like no white cornerbacks after, Jason Sehorn, which I thought was funny, but he's right though. And to a degree, like I do think Cooper DeJean is a great talent. And I completely agree with you. That dude can get toasted up by Christian Watson all game. But he does one good play and we're going to be like, what the hell? So you know what's going to happen, right? It's going to be like, all right, you're going to compare him with Javon Butler or you're going to compare him with Jordan Morgan. And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to be like, where we could have probably went different, Edgerrin Cooper, I don't think so. I think everyone's happy with Edgerrin Cooper. I think everyone's happy with Bullard. But when you're comparing him to someone that they could have had, that's where it gets kind of funny, right? And as fans, what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. We always like to play that game. I honestly hope everything works out for Cooper DeJean, right?
Yeah.
I hope he's a dynamic talent, and so he can beat that stereotype or something. That
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like, man, I got to root for him, man.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think at the end of the day, like, I want to see him succeed. I don't want him to be typecast just because of the fact of what he looks like. Whatever. I don't think that's fair. I think that I really do hope that he can come in and really light the league on fire and really just kind of dispel this whole foolishness business about, talking about someone's race and things like that.
Yeah, man. Because talent is
talent.
Man.
Plain and simple. I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
But one thing I like to do with teams every year is I like to go on their roster and I try to find either one maybe late round rookie or maybe a guy who's been hiding on the roster that makes a jump in year two or three. And so a guy I want to share is a wide receiver / returner from the 5th round pick this year, Aeneas Smith from Texas A&M.
Yep.
He could possibly jump into their slot receiver position, and then if he's getting some returns there, he's the type of talent that can make those splash plays. So that's someone because I completely whiffed on Puka, last year. He came out of nowhere for me. So I am out there looking for the next Puka right now. So
you look for the next Puka. It's funny. So you said Aeneas Smith, right? Aeneas Smith, who honestly was he's nasty. And it's funny, like I think there's 2 guys that we saw them draft this year that could fall in that like Puka category. Johnny Wilson out of Florida State. Yeah. I mean, you talk about a size speed freak, like late round pick. they always say people like that they don't grow on trees, right? He is a rarity when it comes to that size, and the guy can play, right?
Yeah.
And then of course Will Shipley, running back out of Clemson, who another typecast, right? A Caucasian running back. You don't see them very often, but hey, literally the number one running back in the league right now is Christian McCaffrey. So I mean, we can't really talk shit about that, right? And those are two guys that I feel like you could really use a person like you were saying, a late round pick who could possibly do some damage this year.
Yeah. So before we move on from the Eagles, just talking kind of about their team and seeing, we got to talk a little bit about week 1.
Yeah.
If you're listening right now, throw down some predictions or maybe some thoughts about this week 1 game that's going to be in Brazil. Going to be groundbreaking. I know we've talked about it a couple other times on this show, but I mean, when you're spreading the NFL to new grounds, fire Halfley.
Alrighty, damn dog.
Please.
That's supposed to be me.
This is going to be NFL history here, week 1. It's cool to be a part of history. Mm-hmm. These are 2 very historic franchises. But what are your initial thoughts, or what are your thoughts at this time, I guess now I should say, Amar?
I honestly, I'm really looking forward to see. I feel like Jordan's going to have, for the most part, not too many issues against that defense because he's been playing against a version of Vic Fangio's defense in practice for the last literally 4 years when Barry was there. And then, throughout his career, he's been playing teams that do kind of incorporate those kinds of similar schemes, right? Offensively, I think we're going to be fine. I think you're going to really see a lot of jumps from Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Bo Melton, And then, of course, there's Wicks and Reed. I'm just saying third-year jumps, right? And my biggest thing is seeing defensively. You saw what the Eagles did to us in 2022. 365 rushing yards, right? An absolute embarrassment. If that game didn't get Joe Barry fired, I didn't think he was ever going to get fired. I thought he was going to have to quit before he get fired. That was just absolutely embarrassing, right? And this will be the game where week 1, I know it's not fair to judge Halfley off the first game of the season in Brazil, all these factors playing into it. But defensively, I would really like to see how we match up against that offense. That offense has firepower like you can't believe, and offensive line is probably one of the top 5 offensive line. Even though they lost Jason Kelce, it's still probably a top 5 offensive line.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be a great test for us defensively for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. The green, wasn't that debunked?
Yes, it was. Yep.
The green and a
lot of misinformation. Brazilian people that are Packer fans from Brazil, they Felipe and Wendell went on the record and basically dispelled all of that. And there was I think people saw maybe Josh Jacobs was getting information from somebody that watched way too many times Fast and Furious when it was in Brazil. I don't know. I just think that maybe some folks just kind of they just took things a little out of
Yeah, because there is a bit of truth to something there between the soccer clubs that play in that stadium about one group of fans is not supposed to wear green and the other team is not supposed to wear green or something like that.
Yeah, but it's soccer related though. Yeah, it's soccer.
Related, man, it's the power of social media though.
I tell you, man.
But no, the funny thing is someone then threw up the alternative jerseys that they have, those really ugly ones the Eagles have. They're light blue and yellow, and then the Packers have those ones that are navy blue, brown, and tan with yellow numbers or something. And so they both have alternate uniforms that don't have.
It up.
I was like, man, we'd go down there with both teams wearing their ugliest jerseys. They'd be Brazilians would be like, what the hell is this, man?
This is what we paid for?
You sent us Timu NFL?
That's they need things aesthetically to the eyes, man. It has to be aesthetic just a little bit so then the fans can enjoy. So I feel you, man. I saw so many crazy stories about that, and I'm just happy that many people, to include the NFL, came out and debunked everything and they were able to kind of correct that stuff. So True, no, he is not lying. He is not lying.
We'll see. It's a new era.
Yep.
I feel like there's love all around the world. So I'm just hoping, man, that we go down there and look good. I think I actually, in my official predictions, though, do have the Packers losing a close one in this one. When we did our picks.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had them winning, though, like 10 games in a row or something like that. So, we'll see how that travel goes. It's not as much as a time change as to London, but it might be just as long as a flight. So
yeah,
so we'll see. We'll see. If the time zone thing helps at all. I don't know.
A part of me kind of agree. I see what people are saying, right? Like when we went to London. The truth be told, we went to London. We were leading that game in the first half, so it wasn't like we didn't come off the bus ready to go.
Yeah.
Just in the second half, defensively, they were just basically daring Roger to throw it deep, and they're doing single high, and he took it as an insult and had to keep throwing it deep when he could easily just kept doing what they did in the first half, and he chose not to. And breaks his thumb, last play of the game, this and that. Defense had no answer for Saquon Barkley, literally coming out the backfield for literally dump offs and taking him 30, 40 yards down the field. I just feel like this is a new era, like you just said. Not only is it a new era, I feel like LaFleur is embracing the international trip a lot better than he did against the London game. London game, he was completely against it. He didn't even want to go early and make it fun and enjoyable. He was just no, we're going to go there literally a day before, go in, play, leave. And, his sour attitude must have really spread across the team. Like I said, they still showed up in the first half. Second half, they just got dusted up. It was embarrassing. So I agree with you. I think a new era. We have a new coach in. Jordan, more than likely won't step onto the practice field until he gets his new contract, which I don't blame him. But I definitely think that they'll be ready to go. I think this is a game to not only set the season in the right way, but just kind of bring in the new year, bring in the new era, right? Like they did it last year, but last year was this whole okay, we're still trying to figure out the offense. We're still trying to figure out Jordan Love. Those two things are kind of now done. So it's all right, where do we go from here? You lost the game on an interception that kind of finished off that season. How are you going to now move past that?
Yeah.
All right. So we got the Eagles out the way. Who's next?
I feel like you got to go with who's going to be competing with them to win the NFC East. That's the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
But I felt like the offseason, while the Eagles made some big gains, I feel like the Cowboys had more loss in free agency.
Yes.
And so I think the Cowboys can still beat the Eagles head to head. However, though, overall, I think the Eagles are going to win more games and win the East, but the Cowboys will be in that wild card run. They got Mike Zimmer back running their defense. Yep. So we'll see what that defense looks like. I think he was there back in 2006, I think was his last season that he was there.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm interested in seeing with the Cowboys team because, we shredded them in the playoffs, man. So
we embarrassed. That wasn't even funny, to be honest with you. I completely agree. And it's like you said, Mike Zimmer, he's one of those guys who he is a defense coordinator through and through. Right? How there's some guys like Wade Phillips is like that too. Not really good head coaches, but really, really good at their craft, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like he was the same way. I mean, Vic Fangio is a prime example of that as well too. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does with his defense because, they're going from the Dan Quinn 3-4 hybrid 4-3 scheme to more of a 4-3 nickel scheme, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, they lost a lot of good players. They lost Connor Williams. They lost Tyron Smith. Their offensive line for a good 10 years was probably one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I mean, they just invested. Travis, Travis Frederick. I mean, there was a lot of really good. I mean, Leo Collins. There was so much good talent on that offensive line that I was really surprised. They really couldn't get it together, right? And now they were smart. Like there's a lot of people they drafted this year that were on Packers list of Packer players, right? Marshawn Keelan, defensive end, but then Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe, two guys that you and me had talked about, especially Beebe, about bringing them in, and they really got the right players to not only get the because they already picked up Tyler Smith the year before, right? And I think he's going to be your left tackle, and then Tyler Guyton's going to be the right tackle, or they're going to try to figure out which one goes which, right? You got Cooper Beebe who's going to play interior. They still have Zach Martin, and I'm dropping on I'm failing on the center right now, but they have a lot of good talent on that offensive line. And
Travis Frederick, it's at center.
Is he still there? I thought he's not there anymore.
Oh,
yeah. Hold on, let me tell you. I'll tell you. Okay. But what are you thinking when it comes to like the Cowboys, and when it comes to just like because Mike McCarthy's still there?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? What are you seeing?
Well, I saw that. I don't know. It's Brock Hoffman. That's the starter there.
Who is it?
Brock Hoffman.
Oh, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
See, I don't even know that guy. I don't even know these guys.
But one of my thoughts was that's funny. This is kind of the direction I was going.
Yeah.
True North Packer fans bringing up Mike McCarthy. He's going to be going into year 2, right? Getting ready for this episode, I do a little reading and research, and one of the things I stumbled upon is about how they're moving into the second year of Mike McCarthy calling the plays, so there should be a jump in comfort there.
Yeah.
The more Mike McCarthy calls plays, the less comfort I personally have. That's just
I agree.
That's just my experience.
Yeah.
It's a contract year though for our boy Dak. So he balled out last year. I think he's gonna ball out again this year, being a contract year, and he is gonna get paid so much freaking money next year. That's all I gotta say. And I hope somebody said it earlier. I think I hope the Cowboys use every penny to keep him there. And they just spend all their money on him.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
here it is. Please give Dak all your money.
I agree with that. I think that two things are going to happen. I feel like they've kind of disrespected Dak over these years. I understand Dak has not won a playoff game, or maybe he's won one playoff game, right? That was his rookie year, I believe. But like honestly, he is a really, really good quarterback for a guy that got drafted in the 4th round. He's played exceptionally well. I mean, he was an MVP candidate last year. And I still remember when he broke his hand the year before. He missed 4 games, came back. Wish Rodgers had missed some games. Maybe he would have been in a better situation. But nor here nor there. And they just kept doing like the franchise tag. Then they extended him. And even now, he has proven to be a winner, right? Like, yeah, he hasn't won made playoff games, but that's not on him all the way. Like, I think that's a little bit of a combination of offense and defense, right? And if he doesn't get paid in Dallas, someone's going to pay him. And I truly do. We were talking to Sparky last week where I could definitely see him ending up in the Raiders. Like, they don't really have a true quarterback over there, right? And they got the money to pay him. And him playing up against Antonio Pierce, man, I could see it. I could really see that, and
throwing the ball to Devontae.
I mean, they got good weapons. I mean, they went and drafted Brock Bowers. They had Michael Mayer from last year. Offensively, they've been really rebuilding that team. So, I'm with you, man. Like, Dak's going to get paid. The question is who's going to pay him. Like, is Jerry Jones good? Well, I think Jerry Jones, let's say he doesn't pay him. Are you really going to take the chance of putting all your eggs in the Trey Lance basket? Because that's your backup, right? And, I mean, Trey Lance, truth be told, he was a pretty good quarterback coming out of North Dakota. The difference was like he just had injuries that really jacked him up. Talent is there, just hasn't had opportunities, right? And maybe McCarthy could find some magic like he did with Rodgers. He had to really like redo Rodgers' whole like schematic mechanics and stuff like that. Even though Rodgers refused to give him credit for that. And I truly believe that if Dak doesn't get paid this year, he's just going to wait. He's going to probably wait and just then hit the market and go where he feels like he'll be appreciated. And I don't blame him. I hope he does, and he gets paid out the wazoo by another team, and he makes the Cowboys eat it. Because if they don't sign him, quarterback-wise, unless Trey Lance somehow does kind of have a resurgence, they could be in big trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they're drafting a quarterback first round, wherever they end up. The
More
crazy
like
thing is, right? The Cowboys could make a playoff run and then let Dak go
Yep.
and have a late pick, and
They'd
they
be
need
screwed if they got to trade up.
a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. They would be. I don't know. They would be stuck because like when you look at the team as a whole is still pretty young, right? Like when it comes to a lot of their weapons, when it comes to their defense, for the most part, they're pretty young, right? But
Yeah,
when it comes to like the big guys like CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, both those guys are going to get paid. So my question is, you might have a point where, hey, they paid those two dudes. Now you ain't got money to pay Dak. Do you let Dak go, and then do you just start over the quarterback position, or do you hope that Trey can do something, right? Like, I'm with you, man. They could sit there and trade away Dak, sign him to a franchise deal, tag him, trade him away for a first-round pick, move up in the draft, and get a quarterback that's coming out next year. I mean, there's a lot of different options there. And, man, like, yeah, I never want to see the Cowboys succeed. There was something that Soder had said where he was talking about the fact that we all, genuinely hate the Cowboys. It brings everyone comfort. I completely agree with that. And I have no qualms with that. And I mean, there's supposed beef between McCarthy and Jerry Jones too. So who knows, like if even McCarthy lasts the season, right? Truth be told, he's had 3 12-win seasons. I mean, that's not like he really reminds me of Marty Schottenheimer, or amazing regular season coach, but in the postseason, he just has a difficult time getting it done. After that one run, he ain't really been done it since.
Yeah. And that run we went on, I mean, Aaron Rodgers was absolutely on fire. Our defense was like making big splash plays all the time, right? They were giving up some big plays or giving up some points, but you knew they were going to get 2 takeaways. You knew they were going to get a handful of sacks every game. You just had faith in the big plays of that defense.
Yeah, 100%.
So there was a lot, that went into that championship run. And
let's not forget, we need the Giants to lose to the Eagles, and if Deshaun Jackson doesn't return that punt on the last play of the game for a touchdown, we're not even in the playoffs.
Yeah,
we don't even like the amount of things that had to go right for that whole run is absolutely insane. Like, don't get me wrong, defense was lights out. Rodgers was playing like a man possessed, right?
Yeah.
You had literally one of the best rookie games from James Starks, literally like leading us in rushing the whole postseason. Brandon Jackson just coming in and doing his thing. I'm telling you, there's so many things that had to go right. For the fact that we had literally the most players on injury reserve to be able to still pull that win out and get a Super Bowl out of it. It's crazy. And it's funny, like after that, we had other teams that were so much better, that were healthier, that were better talented, and we could never get it done. And it just really shows you that, no matter how many people say, like, you see the Patriots, you look at the Chiefs, and you're like, oh man, Super Bowls, man, they seem so easy. They're really not. You just have to have a lot of things kind of go your way. Like even for the Chiefs, I mean, they had a lot of things kind of go their way. The Buccaneers, when they won, I mean, they should have lost to us. We could have sealed the deal, and that was at home. So I'm with you, man. Like that run was magical in so many ways, and I'm really hoping that we can somehow rekindle some of that magic this year. With a new quarterback, well, not new quarterback, but a new legacy starting here, right? And just a lot of positive vibes going into this season.
Yeah. And we won't see the Dallas Cowboys in the regular season.
Nope.
I wouldn't mind seeing them in the playoffs again.
Same. Give me that in Dallas, please. That's our house, basically. Shit.
Yeah. That's our we're what do you call it? Snowbirds, right? That's where we go during. Oh man, it's cold up here, man. Let's go somewhere warm and play football.
Right? I tell you, man, that AT&T Stadium is basically our home away from home.
Yeah. I've been there to see a Final Four, but I've never been there for a football game yet. So I think I need to get there.
Yeah, I went there for a work event. We had like a work event there. And we were on the field and the whole 9 yards. We're like catching balls, like throwing balls, doing it all kind. I'm out there in like my office clothes, right? Like I got like office shoes on, I got dress shoes on and shit. It was fun though. It was a good
Yeah.
time. Did the whole tour and everything, but it's an amazing stadium. And it's definitely it's definitely not a house of horrors, like
it's impressive.
a U.S. Bank and other stadiums have become. So yeah, I'm with it. I can't wait to see if Mike McCarthy can survive this year and just seeing what they do, because again, that division, the NFC East, it has gotten a little bit better. I mean, Dan Quinn now going to Washington, and then Brian Daboll still being there, and who knows what's going to happen with those two teams. But I know we're going to start talking about them here in a second. But it's not really like, oh, this is definitely the Eagles or this is definitely the Cowboys. It could be anybody's division. And honestly, that division's normally been one of attrition, so it's nothing new.
Yeah. And my last thing I want to share about the Cowboys is about a third-year receiver, Jalen Tolbert.
Tolbert.
Yep. So he went from 12. It was like this 2 catches to 12 yards from a rookie, then to 22 catches, 268 yards last year. But with Michael Gallup gone, right, he should slide into that slot position.
Yep.
So I guess if you're looking for if you have a big enough fantasy team where you're getting that deep into receivers, this is a guy that could make a big jump this year because, after, CD and Brandon Cooks, who is there? And it's going to be Tolbert, I think.
Hey, bro, you better not forget Barry Alvarez is like damn nephew or grandson or some shit.
Tight end,
Ferguson.
He's a tight end.
He's a tight end. That's true. I was like, yo, I can see him right now jumping in the comments and be like, don't forget my boy.
I better not forget him. Yeah. Jake Ferguson, Barry Alvarez's nephew.
Yep.
You know what?
I'm with you though.
He came into the league, with like decent with good hands. Okay. He could block, right? And they were like, oh, maybe he lacks athleticism, or like, can he get open? And he's doing it, man. And I'm really proud of him, man. And you're right, man. How could I forget? But yeah, man, look for him too.
Yep.
I'll cheer for him from time to time. So I had a second grade teacher. Yeah. If she wouldn't have been a teacher, she would have been a nun. But for whatever reason, she was a Dallas Cowboys fanatic, right? And this is in the middle of Packer country, and she's a Dallas Cowboy fanatic. But she whipped my ass into shape in second grade because I was a wild man. She would always send my family birthday cards after the fact, too, as I grew up. When I went back to teach into my hometown for 2 years, that's where I started my teaching career. I started my teaching career with my classroom right across from my second grade teacher, Miss Rebin, who was still there. She was still a diehard Cowboys fan. And man. So there's like this little childhood memory of mine of one of my favorite all-time teachers. That's a Dallas Cowboy fan. And that's
pretty awesome.
Man. I can't. It's hard for me to cheer from, but it's easier with guys like Jake Ferguson on the roster.
You got some Wisconsin connections. You kind of roll with it a little bit, right? So
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But hey, you had brought up a new coach, right, in Washington, Dan Quinn. We'll just jump right into the Commanders. They also have a new face of the franchise, and Jaden Daniels. But a big piece that I think I'll throw it your way, Amar, is about Adam Peters, right? The new GM coming over from the 49ers. This is the guy that's going to have, the best chance of turning this franchise around. If you're looking at Jaden Daniels, Dan Quinn, and Adam Peters, right? Dan Quinn is going to be the voice, right? Jaden Daniels is going to be the face, but the brains of this operation is going to be Adam Peters. That's what I'm thinking.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that he has come over there and he has really put his handprint on the team. And I'm an LSU guy through and through. I went to high school and college down there, so I've always been like an LSU fan. So I promise I'm not a bandwagon fan because I've dealt with many, many years of us not being that good. And I agree. Like, they're bringing – Dan Quinn had his first rodeo with Atlanta. He did really, really well, and then it fell apart. After that 28-3 debacle, he just wasn't the same, right? Of course, Matt Ryan got older, Julio Jones got hurt, and he just never really recovered, and it was difficult, right? And he really remade his name in Dallas. I feel like defensively, he was just. I mean, he had that defense humming until he came up against us. The truth of the matter is, like, Dan Quinn is a great coach, but every person that was on his staff has ate him up. So, like, Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, I think Sean McVay was on his staff, maybe not, but excuse me, all those coaches have found a way to really embarrass the shit out of him when they play, right? And seeing what Peters did in this draft, right? Like, let's just talk about that for real quick. Jaden Daniels, obviously number 2 overall pick. Literally seeing like the whole argument that, he could be like RG3. I don't think so. He's built different. Mentally, he's built different. He had to come up the hard way. Transferred into LSU. He didn't have. I love RG3. Don't get me wrong, but he came up in a way where his dad was very much involved, not only in his high school and college career, but even when he was in Washington as well, too, which played into the fact that he really thought that he knew more than Mike Shanahan. They were able to get a guy you love to death, Johnny Newton out of Illinois. That's your boy, right? And they got him because he had an injury kind of coming in, but he was an absolute just monster on that defensive line. Mike's I'm going to kill his last name, Mike St. Rotilli, the defensive back out of Michigan. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a list. I promise you I'm not doing this from memory. But like this is another team that picked a lot of players that I felt like us in the Packers draft community really, really wanted. Like Ben Sinnott, this guy is going to probably be the next George Kittle. I'm just going to say it right now. That's who I think, that's who they kind of thought when they grabbed him. Brandon Coleman was a tackle who they loved. I thought he was pure Green Bay all day, right? And then, you kind of had Luke McCaffrey, who, he's more so pedigree, right? But honestly, his numbers at Rice were really good. And his combine and his Senior Bowl tape was nice too. So, like you just said, Adam Peters, he has put his, not only from the draft, but also free agency pickups too. And I do love the way that I'm not a big fan of the Cliff Kingsbury hire. I think I've mentioned that a billion times. I think that he's basically like pretty boy privilege, honestly, like for him to keep getting jobs because there's no reason why he should be in coaching, considering the fact that he has not improved things wherever he's been. He's actually made things worse. Okay.
Yeah.
But the defensive coordinator is an old familiar name, Joe Witt Jr., probably one of the more respected defensive back coaches that Green Bay's ever had. And he's their defensive coordinator for them. So it's funny. He's like a defense coordinator, but more than likely Dan Quinn's going to be calling that defense, right? Yeah. And this is going to be really interesting to see just with that coaching staff where they go from here.
Yeah. Another thought was, can you imagine if I'm going to always say his name wrong, Ayuk from right?
Yep.
This is the place he said he'd be if he doesn't get this get a deal made with the Niners.
Yep.
Man, that'd be fun to add a player like him to this team. True North Packers fan, Commanders are headed in the right direction. You can just skip to the Giants, boys. And you're right, they are headed in the right direction.
They are.
And they got Marcus Mariota there, right? To help tutor. I think that's like the perfect guy to have in that quarterback room with Jaden Daniels. So I'm excited to see Jaden Daniels in the preseason. My Wisconsin Badgers did beat him when he was with the Sun Devils
Indiana,
in the Las Vegas Bowl, right? Then my Badgers played your LSU Tigers in the bowl game this year, but Jaden Daniels,
didn't play.
Yeah, man, I don't blame him. You don't want to risk it. I would have loved to see.
It would have been fun.
You guys beat us anyways.
Because I feel like it's funny you say that too, because they did play together, Indiana, Ayuk, and Daniels. He also played with Ricky Parasol, who was the first round pick for the Niners, and it's crazy to think like Ayuk has been kind of talking out both sides of his neck recently. Like he was really much like, oh, they don't want me, they don't like me, they don't want to pay me, and then other teams want me, but they don't want to trade me. So which one is it? And then there's this other argument of, well, I want to be. The last one was, I want to be in San Francisco. I want to be a San Francisco Niner, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, all right, well, you need to pick a lane, dog. Because truth is, like, Adam Peters and obviously John Lynch, they go back, right? And honestly, there's always been some kind of connection between Washington and San Fran. Just has. They've done a lot of deals in the past, I think, to the benefit of the Niners because, I mean, they got freaking Trent Williams out of it, who still is playing at a high level. But I'm with you. If Ayuk somehow ends up in Washington, holy crap. I mean, Washington already has weapons. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been a scary Terry McLaurin fan since day one. I loved him to death. We could have had him instead of Jay Sternberger. Water under the bridge. Not really. Still mad. But the truth is, he was absolutely nasty. And then they got the kid out of Penn State, Jahan Dotson, who is electric. Like, just absolutely electric. You get Ayuk, can you put him in there too? Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Like, I don't know if Washington can get Ayuk without having to give a player. Like, they may have to give up a guy like, McLaurin maybe. But they've really built that team up right. And it kind of reminds you of the Houston Texans, where they had to clean out a lot of dead weight, clean out a lot of stuff, and then they brought in a lot of free agent players that first year. And then the second year they started drafting really well. Nick Caserio really killed it. Peters did the exact same thing. And he drafted extremely well. Even the kid Dominic Hampton out of Washington, who I love coming out of one of Green Bay draft, right? Yeah. They just really have kind of like solidified that team. Offensive line has been their bugaboo, and they did pick up some good players. That's what they're gonna have to really work on because Jaden Daniels is not RG3. Like, yeah, he's built he's built pretty well. I think he's built a little bit better than RG3 physically, right? Mm-hmm. But just I feel like his arm talent is better, and also he has pedigree playing at SEC, right? He's used to playing up against like some hardcore defenses and playing well. Literally, he was a Heisman Trophy winner last year, so yeah. Washington's arrow's pointing up. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, same. One player I'm going to watch, I'm going to track this year from them is the second-round tight end out of Kansas State.
Yep.
Ben Sinnott, that they picked up. He can help in the run game as a blocker as well. And in the backfield in particular, you can line him up in the backfield as well, and he can help Daniels on some zone read carries as well. He's a unique piece. They'll be able to use him in different ways on this offense. So Kansas State's always kind of been my Pac-12 team, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of like Kansas State. They're blue collar. They're hardworking, man. They don't, they're always the underdog down there. I've always liked their programs down there. But that's a player I really like out of Kansas State there. Ben Sinnott, I think he's going to be a special piece for that offense going forward.
I like it. So it's funny. I'm looking at their depth chart right now. There's clearly guys that I completely missed. And I had no idea they got Dante Fowler. I forgot all about it. They got Keelan Farrell. There's a lot of guys that I'm like, holy crap. They picked up some good players. Frank Luvu, who I really loved coming out of Carolina, right? The guy who I'm really looking forward to seeing playing for them, two guys. It's going to be Jeremy Chen, who I've been in love with since he came out of college. Like, that's my guy. And I'm really hoping that he can take it to the next level with Dan Quinn. Because I feel like, don't get me wrong, like, I love Everett. I think Everett did the best he could with him. But the fact that Jeremy Chen's like that player that's like hybrid safety still, right? And then Quan Martin, who was like one of their safety cornerback picks last year, who I really, really loved, and I really wanted Green Bay to get. I'm a real big fan of his. I mean, I'm telling you, like, there's a lot of players on that team that like you can really root for just because of kind of like where they started and where they ended up. And now the fact that Dan Snyder's not there anymore, I can definitely get behind that team and not feel icky for supporting them in one way. Not supporting them like that, but just hoping for their best in a sense,
Yeah.
All right, we got two down. We got three down. We got the last one, probably the worst one. Let's go.
All right, the New York Football Giants.
Whoa.
Oh man, what is going on in New York? Man, let's start with Darren Waller, man. Was he just like F this, man? I'm just gonna retire. Like, this isn't even worth it. Like,
you know what? Like, I feel like Green Bay either A, really missed out on opportunity to maybe gain the best Darren Waller, or we dodged another bullet. Like, he was Claypool 2.0, where like that trade didn't go through because of technicality, about like just administrative issue. And who knows what would have happened if he was in Green Bay? Maybe things would have been different. Maybe not. I don't know. But like, you're right. Like, he just said the hell with it. And maybe, that's, if it's not in you, it's not in you, And I mean, honestly, like coaching staff wise, they did lose, is Martindale still there or did he leave? I feel like Martindale left, did he? I'm not sure. Let me check. See. Because
I think you're going to see that more often. Guys just being like, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, weighing the benefits of it, sometime where you're at, if like you're saying, if you're not all the way invested in it anymore, why keep sacrificing your body if you're not fully invested?
I agree with that.
I understand people wanting to preserve their body and mind as well. I respect that decision all the way. And I hope the best for him, man, because like you said, at one time I was hoping he was going to come be a special part of a Packers team.
Yeah, seriously. And the funny thing is we're gonna see them on Hard Knocks starting, I think, tomorrow, and I'm looking for, I hate to say it, like, I know it may not be great, but the truth matter is, like, it's still football. So I'm gonna soak it all up and enjoy the shit out of it, But what's funny is, like, they did off-season wise, they gave us, they didn't want to bring back Xavier McKinney, which was our gain, their loss, right?
Yeah.
And they also, Darren Waller retired, Saquon Barkley gone. Okay. But man, like they got Brian Burns. I think they paid way too much for him. But Brian Burns, I loved him coming out. He was the guy I wanted over Sean Gary. Don't get me wrong. I love Mr. Sean Gary. I'm not disparaging him. I've been eating crow since that day. But I'm just saying, my man Brian Burns is the truth. And
Burns matched up with Thibodeau. That's nice.
Yeah.
Man.
That is, I'm telling you, bookends. That is disgusting, right? And they still got interior help. You know what I'm saying? They still got Leonard Williams. That hasn't changed, right? I think they still got Leonard Williams. Or they lose Leonard Williams. Fuck. And then Joel Schoen is like he is a person that comes from the Buffalo Bills. Brandon Beane. He comes from that Brandon Beane tree, and he's a hell of a GM. Like, I have to admit, like, they drafted. See, what I loved in this division. A lot of these teams drafted guys that I think we were all in love with, right? I think everyone loved Neighbors. Neighbors, LSU guys. Of course, I love Neighbors, right? Tyler Nubin, Minnesota guy. How many times did we talk about Tyler Nubin? We love Tyler Nubin, boy. Yeah, that was a dude, right?
On our radar the whole time.
And we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna, he's gonna fall to us, and we're gonna get him. And then shit, we didn't get his ass. And then we're like, what the hell is going on? What the hell?
But here's the thing, man. Tyler Nubin was on the Minnesota Gophers. The New York Giants are just the Minnesota Gophers of the NFC East. They're,
Yeah. Do they got more players from there too? They must.
No, I'm just saying they lose a lot.
Oh, they're not a great team. I know what you're saying now. I get it.
Yeah.
Hey, look, okay, that's what it was. It's Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence is the guy I was talking about, defense tackle, right? Then don't get me wrong. Andreo Phillips, another guy that we all loved, right out of Kentucky. And then you had Theo Johnson, Penn State tight end, who had a 10.0 RAS score, was absolutely just disgusting. So you lost Darren Waller. You still got Theo. Like, I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
they made the right moves. I mean, man, like, I feel like I definitely feel like the Giants have been the stepchildren of that division. Funny thing was, they were in the playoffs 2 years ago. It wasn't like they're not too far removed from being one of the better teams in that division. So I'll tell you that you're going to see a 9-8 team from that division make the playoffs again. It's just going to happen. I think honestly, I think Green Bay is going to. I think NFC North is going to be the same way too. You're going to be a battle of attrition for both of us. I feel. And I have a real old childhood friend of mine who's a diehard Giants fan, so I love giving him shit. And he's just like, yeah, I was trying to give him shit about Saquon. And then he's like, hey, I'm wishing the best for him. I'm like, bro, you're way too mature for this shit. I was like, I'm not used to this guy. I grew up with him since like second grade, so I've known him forever. But I'm like, man, he's too damn nice. I can't even talk shit. And then sad thing was they beat us last year and the year before. So I'm like, I definitely can't talk shit. I was like, I ain't got nothing to stand on right now.
I know the Giants are just one of those teams that just have our number. I don't know what it is.
Lying, dude. You are not
like
lying,
in the
bro.
playoffs, in the regular season, when the Giants aren't even that good.
God,
Just
bro. You
it's
2010 was our
ridiculous.
year where we beat them, right? And in the regular season, but 2021, 2022, oh god, dude, it was just year after year they would just find a way. Like they were built differently. That front four, like they literally remade that front four to what it was. If you think about it, right? Having Thibodeau, having Brian Burns, having Dexter Lawrence. I'm just saying, like, holy crap! Like, if they are running the 3-4 schemes to which I think they're going to try to do with my boy Martindale, then my gosh, dude, they've really supplemented this team with the right talent. It's just that A, guys stay healthy, and then B, Daniel Jones needs to take that step. They just paid him all that money. I feel like this is a make or break year for him because if he doesn't, then they can cut him loose after the show. You know, a lot of these folks, they sign like their contract 4 years, 5 years, but normally can let him go after 2 years. I feel like that's gonna be the situation here.
Yeah, man. My big name to point out was the guy you mentioned earlier. That was Theo Johnson, the tight end out of Penn State. Yeah, man, a big athletic dude, and you knew he was going to get a chance to play right off the bat. But then with Darren Waller retiring, right, he instantly becomes the man at tight end position. So I think he's a guy that, for coming out of the fourth round, could have a big year and a big impact on this team. But I want to see more Tommy DeVito. Maybe that's just me.
He's like third on the depth chart. They got freaking like Drew Lock ahead of him. Isn't that some shit?
I bet. I hope. I'm going to go out of my way maybe to watch a Giants preseason game to see some Tommy DeVito and watch him outplay Drew Lock and win the backup position. I hope that's what happens for this kid, man.
Dude, his agent was in freaking Italy giving a football, original football to the Pope. I was like, I've never seen anyone. I have to respect his grind, respect his game, bro. He got his 5 minutes of fame, and he is taking full advantage of it. I mean, he is everywhere. The dude met the Pope. He met the freaking Pope, man. Like, are you kidding me? I was like, oh my god. I'm just saying, like, I'm with you. I'm a Drew Lock guy. I like Drew Lock coming out. I thought he was pretty decent coming out of Mizzou. I thought that when the Giants put him in the trade offer, I felt like, or not trade offer, he was a free agent they signed, I believe. I honestly felt like they're trying to tell Daniel Jones, like, hey, guess what, man? If you don't do what you need to do and win this job, you could be out. And Brian Daboll is a very, very good offensive coordinator. I love he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I honestly, but I don't know if he's a head coach, honestly. And I'm looking forward to seeing this Hard Knocks this year, just to see the inner workings of how things go on, to get a glimpse about who he really is. Because, man, like, he has a lot. I'm looking at the depth chart. The talent on this team is enormous. They just need to start getting some of these guys playing to their best, I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
My player that you're talking, you got your Theo Johnson, right? I'm going to go defense. I'm going to go defense, all right?
Okay.
And I'm really stuck between. It's not fair because Deonte Banks is a first round pick, so that's not fun, right? And then of course you got freaking Tyler Nubin, who's like a second round pick. But I'm gonna go Tyler Nubin just because I loved him coming out. I thought he was a great talent, and I was really hoping Green Bay would be able to sneak him later into the draft. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love our safeties, like, right, but man, it always sucks when you fall in love with these guys and then just they get sniped or they go somewhere else and then they get washed and his RASCO wasn't great, but he literally went out there knowing he was injured and still did everything. Just feel like it's a lot of heart, and I'm looking forward to just how we got these players we're going to watch just to see how they do and see their careers blossom. Cooper DeJean, right? Jake Ferguson, right? And then now we got Tyler Nubin. I can't wait, man. Theo Johnson, like all these guys that we're looking at, like, man. Yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing just like how this team comes together. It's gonna be crazy to see.
Yeah. So I got the Eagles winning this division. Is that what you got?
No, I'm gonna be contrarian here. I'm gonna call for the Washington Commanders to win the division.
Whoa,
just because I'm a Jane Daniels guy. I want Jane Daniels to get Offensive Rookie of the Year.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going all in, even though I have no faith whatsoever in Cliff Kingsbury, pretty boy privileged garbage ass OC. Just big ass garbage can walking around. He's a pretty looking garbage can. That's what he is. A pretty looking garbage can. You can cut this shit. You can post it everywhere. I don't give a damn. Anyone that knows football knows that Cliff Kingsbury ain't it, dog. He's not it. Sorry, my rant is over. I'm going to watch the Commanders, because Jane Daniels.
Okay. I love it. So, both of us are thinking Packers are going to the playoffs. So what are some potential playoff matchups then? If you got the Commanders winning the division, I got Eagles winning the division.
Okay. If we do it that way, right? Let's say Packers somehow get the number 1 seed. Let's just say that happens. Based on schedule, it's a possibility, right? If you looked at Andy Herman's Pack-A-Day AI creation of this full season, we were going 14-3. And so it was crazy, right? So let's say that happens. And, there's always one team that comes in that's like that wild card, 7th ranked team, right? And, you get the first week bye, and then you play whoever, last. I mean, I could see us matching up against Dallas. I could see us matching up, honestly, against if Commanders win the division, probably not, right? But let's just say, somehow, I mean, I feel like the NFC has so much more parity, meaning that you could have a division that has 3 teams that sneak in, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like when we're going through these divisions these next couple of weeks, you're going to be able to really show wow, each division has an opportunity to be a true battle of attrition. Like you look at the NFC West, all the teams there are really, they're all been slowly building up. You got the powerhouse in the Niners, you got the powerhouse in the Rams, but you can't really forget about the Cardinals, right? And I'm just saying, I'm with you, man. This is, I don't know. I'm just gonna say maybe we'll play against Dallas again, and hopefully they don't get revenge on us.
Yeah. My thought is we lose the season opener to the Eagles.
Okay.
Then we run back into the Eagles in the playoffs and beat them. And so that's my hope is because I think my picks were for the Packers to go 14-3 in the regular season, but the 3 losses were the Eagles, the Lions, and the Niners in the regular season. And all 3 of those teams then we're going to be teams we're going to possibly face in the playoffs then. So we could be the 1 seed, but there could be 3 teams that beat us in the playoffs, right?
You know what's funny though? That's a repeat of 2010. Because we started off the season opener in 2010 against the Eagles. We lost them 20-10, right?
Yeah.
And then we played Atlanta. They beat us in the regular season, right? Yeah. And I want to say we get 1-1 against the Bears. So they do say history repeats itself. It could happen again where we lose those 3 teams. We lose against the Lions because more likely they're going to be one of our division rivals, the hardest ones of the other 3 teams.
Yeah,
and then you might be onto something, bro. And then
that's 14 years ago, right?
Yeah.
If you go back 14 years ago again, that's when the Packers won their last Super Bowl with Favre. So we have to
saw that TikTok. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Let's go look at that playoff run.
Yeah.
Did they beat teams in the playoffs that they lost to in the regular season? That would be. Are we on to the NFL script writers right now?
Could be. We could be. I wouldn't be surprised. Shit, man. Yeah. Oh, no, I saw that TikTok and I was like, hey, don't give me. I'm like, Jeremy Renner from Endgame. Don't give me hope, dog. Don't give me hope because I'm already a pretty positive guy. I'm gonna run with this shit.
Yeah. But so I'm excited, man, just for football to start in general, and I'm sure everyone else here is as well. We're so excited. We're talking about looking for new content to talk about, so we're talking about these other teams. Mm-hmm. So when we don't have guests right now, as we're leading up to the season, we will be talking about these other divisions on nights that we don't have guests.
Yep.
And so we might be having a bonus episode later this week. We'll drop the details on that.
We're trying to bring on Justice Mosqueda as the plan, guys. So I know you guys are really looking forward to him. We're going to talk to him, see how he has a very, very intriguing, interesting story about just where he started, why did he get into football, everything he's done in football, and then his knowledge of the Packers and just everything. He's a wealth of knowledge, and I think he's going to be an awesome, awesome guest to have on the show.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that one.
Yep.
And I gotta put up there last words.
That's last
All
words,
right.
baby.
Okay, I'll go first. I'll go first.
Okay.
Last words here. I guess just kind of touch about the NFC East, right? I got Eagles winning it. I think I got the Cowboys getting a wild card. I don't think I'll go Commanders third, Giants last. I don't think either of those teams make the playoffs though this year. I'm pumped for football, man. I'm pumped for that Packers Eagles game week 1. How can you not be? I'm so excited for NFL fans down in Brazil. We're making this game go global. We just need to make sure that our U20 team can beat Japan next time. Okay.
Jeez, and Austria, right? Like, what the hell is that?
Man.
That was just fucking terrible.
So come on, get it together, coast to coast. We got to put together better U20 teams. Then what's that? I guess those are my last words. What do you got, Amar?
Okay, all right. So for me, I got the Commanders win the division. I have the Giants coming in second. I have the Eagles coming in third because I feel like the dysfunction. I think Nick Sirianni gets fired this year. I think his act is getting old on the players, and don't be surprised if you see Kellen Moore or even Vic Fangio, because he has head coaching experience, take over as the interim head coach. And then I see Dallas possibly ending up in third and fourth. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, again, they've lost some good players. They've supplemented as best they can, but there is a lot. I feel like there's some dysfunction going on there. And offensively, they have the right weapons. Mike McCarthy, I don't know. I think it's a time forgotten for him. Things past. He's a great play caller, but I just don't know if he can keep up with the times. And yeah, I'm going. Dallas is going to be at the bottom of the division, which is crazy to think because he's not had a losing record yet.
Yeah.
But you know what? That could happen. It doesn't take much for that to happen, right? And if they don't take care of Dak, he will be only really playing for his next contract somewhere else. I truly believe that.
I thought about that, man. What if like McCarthy and they just completely falls off?
Yeah, or he gets fired. What if Jerry Jones gets pissed and said, "F this, I'm done. I'm firing you. I'm over it." Like he could go like 4-3 and he could lose to Washington, and Jerry Jones could be, "I'm over it. I'm done."
Yeah.
Like if they lose to any divisional games, I could see him losing his job, and that's not fair to him. But you know what? Like, and then honestly, if he gets fired, I don't know if he comes back into coaching. I think he might be done at that point.
Yeah, I can see that too. But I hope the best. Hope the best for him there. But that's all. That's all I got for us. That's all we got. I'm Bernie Bango. You can find me on X. Sorry.
No, go, man. Go. My bad. I interrupted you.
I'm Bernie Bango. You can find me X at Bernie Bango. Hey, make sure you go find us on YouTube at Game On Wisconsin. Smash that like and subscribe button.
Yes.
Follow us. We got other shows that are on the Game On Wisconsin network, so check them out as well. But yeah, if you could give us a follower on Instagram as well, please do so. We're there. But yeah, that's what I got.
I was gonna say, hey, and don't forget now we're on TikTok too. So check us out on TikTok, Coast to Coast Packers. We'll drop the link. We'll drop the link in the comments here. Definitely send your questions. If you got any questions, send them. Like, share, comment. And we're also on Apple and Spotify. So if you guys want to give us any reviews on there, be honest. So it gives us constructive criticism to be better for you guys every week. And you can follow me at Twitter on AMAR3455. Also on Instagram on the same thing too. Basically, I think it's only 1-5 instead of 2 5s. And I'm not on TikTok, but we do monitor their TikTok accounts if you guys need it at all. We're definitely trying to expand as much as we can, and we're trying to get you guys more content, more shows. But please follow us, like, subscribe, share. And we're hoping these new shows will kind of get us out there to other fan bases, and we can get more commentary and get engaged more and let you guys know exactly how I feel. And you guys let us know how you feel. Have a great night.
Absolutely. And as always, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, baby.
Bye.